What's up, guys? We are back doing another reaction. This is James Klug. A link to the full video will be in the description below. And it should be banned the AR-15 Part 1. And he's doing this in Southern California. So I'm guessing the answers are going to be a lot of yes. We're going to hear a lot of ignorance. And I say ignorance because these people just don't know better. Stupidity is when you know better, but you do it or say it anyways. Ignorance is when you don't know. You can fix ignorance. You can't fix stupidity. But let's see. This guy's James Klug here. He is asking this guy, should we ban the AR-15? Let's take a listen.
Ban the AR-15, or is that nonsense? What do you guys think?
That isn't even a question.
Oh, see?
That's not even a question. It was a question. By definition, that was a question.
Should we ban the AR-15?
Yes.
We have President Biden and Kamala Harris basically advocating for banning semi-automatic rifles. Do you agree with them or no?
I do.
Absolutely.
Oh,
You do?
Absolutely.
So they both agree. I bet they can't tell you why, though.
You know, we should ban Joe Biden.
We should ban Joe Biden. I like that dude. I like that dude.
I say keep it.
Keep it.
That's my opinion.
I do support the banning of like military-style assault rifles.
Military-style assault rifles. All right, for one, the AR-15 is not military style. The military never, ever used the AR-15. It was actually denied by the military for use. It just wasn't up to snuff. Later on, we got the M4, which is like the AR-15. But the difference is the AR-15 is semi-automatic only, whereas the M4 is actually an assault rifle because it can shoot in automatic or semi-automatic.
Okay. Like what was that?
Like the AR-15. Like,
The AR-15 is not used
Is it not?
by the military.
No.
Why do you?
So he just said he just slapped some information on him. Hey, the AR-15 is not used by the military. That dude had no clue. He had no clue. These are the people voting. They have no clue what they're talking about, yet they're voting on these issues. Guys, educate yourself on the issues. Please, for the love of God, educate yourself on the issues. Whether it's guns, abortions, local town issues like where taxes are going to go, it doesn't matter. Educate yourself on the issues before you go out and vote. Vote with an educated mind. Don't go out and vote with your heart. Do your research and vote based off of your research, based off of what you've learned, and then go forward with your decision, whether you're for or against. Don't just go out there and assume because somebody told you, you know. By all means, fact check anything I say. Please fact check anything I say and comment in the comment section whether I'm right or wrong and why. I challenge you guys to do that.
We need it. One reason. What do we need them for?
Why do we need them? Well, the Second Amendment isn't about needs. That's let's go ahead and just put that argument to rest. That is a lazy man's argument. Why do we need it? It's not about needs. The Second Amendment doesn't say needs. All right. But to answer her question, why do I need an AR-15? I need an AR-15 for hunting because it is a good small game hunting rifle. I need it for 3-gun competitions, which is rifle, pistol, and shotgun. And I need it for just pleasure of shooting. Those are my needs. If you don't like them, too bad. You don't get to dictate what I need. Do you need 5 pairs of shoes? No. Do you need a car? No, you've got feet. You don't need these things. It's about wants. What can you have? So let's continue.
Okay.
You don't.
They're used for defense purposes, obviously.
So then they should be sold to the military.
They're used for defense purposes, so they should be sold to the military. Well, they tried to sell them to the military, but like I said before, the military said, no, we don't want them.
Just in the hands of the military.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No question.
Do you think that the Second Amendment's outdated then? Like,
Exactly outdated.
The Second Amendment's outdated. I wonder if she goes into how it's outdated. How is it outdated, guys? I mean, yeah, it was written in the 1700s, but it still applies today. The First Amendment was written in the 1700s. Is the First Amendment outdated? Do we have the freedom of speech because the First Amendment says we do, or is it outdated and we need to regulate speech? I will say we do not need to regulate speech. Speech should not be regulated. Absolutely not. People should be free to speak their minds. Otherwise, we are living in a fascist nation. That is one of the tenets of fascism, is controlling what people can and cannot say. You look it up. It's one of Mussolini's tenets to fascism. The father of fascism said that that is one of the tenets, to control what people can and cannot say.
The average person doesn't need an assault rifle to protect themselves. There's just no way.
Well, it's not an assault rifle. An assault rifle, as defined by the experts, the Department of Defense, states that an assault rifle has a selector switch that can allow that firearm to shoot in automatic or in 3-round bursts. The AR-15, the AR-15 platform cannot do that. The AR-15 platform can only fire in semi-automatic.
what to you? What is an assault rifle?
Something where it fires multiple rounds in a short period of time.
Something that fires multiple rounds in a short period of time. Well, that can be any firearm based on the user's proficiency. You know, if you look up Hitchcock, I forget it, 83, 53, something like that. The dude is fast. He can unload and load a revolver in like 3 seconds. So you got to be a little bit more specific. Any firearm can fire multiple rounds very quickly. Any firearm, even a bolt action. I've seen it. I've done it. All right. Bolt actions can fire very, very quickly if you're proficient with shooting them. Same thing with shotguns. A pump shotgun can fire very quickly if you're proficient with it. So it's all about proficiency. It's not about what the weapon is capable of doing.
Where it's not discriminate. You know, they're not pointing and shooting at a particular thing. It's,
Well, see, that brings up a good point. So this is one of the reasons why I advocate for semi-automatic rifles, because they're actually safer than, say, somebody with a bolt action. Semi-automatic rifles, yes, the average person can fire them as quick as they can pull the trigger. But you sacrifice accuracy for speed. Anybody who has fired rapidly knows that. The quicker you fire, the more muzzle raise you get and the less accuracy you have for the average shooter. Pros can stay on target, but the average shooter cannot stay on target when they shoot rapid fire. So if you have somebody with a bolt action who's taking the time to pick out their targets, I guarantee you they're going to hit way more than they're going to miss. Whereas somebody who's shooting rapidly, they're not. They're going to miss more than they hit. So we should actually advocate more for semi-automatic rifles or semi-automatic firearms, period.
just anything in that direction. And the AR-15 can do that.
Any firearm can do that. As I stated before, it all depends on the proficiency of the person. Any firearm can do that. Any one of them.
Why do you think we should? Why do you think it's a good idea?
Who needs them? Besides military,
We've already discussed that.
who needs them?
The military doesn't quite use AR-15s. Yeah, it's just a modern rifle. So should we get rid of modern rifles, basically?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. So those people, they're just anti-gun, period. They don't care. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about your rights. They just want you to not have firearms, period. They would rather you be a victim than to protect your own family. That's the type of people those are, and those people sicken me to death. I wish those people did not exist. I'm not saying that they should do any harm to themselves or somebody should do harm to them. I just wish that they never existed, period.
I don't think it's the guns, I think it's the people.
Exactly, brother. It is not the firearm, it is the people with the firearm. If you put anything in the hands of somebody who wants to do harm, they are going to do harm with that object. It doesn't matter what that object is. It could be a beer bottle. They're going to do harm with that beer bottle. It could be a firearm. They're going to do harm with the firearm. It could be a truck full of explosives like we had in Oklahoma City. They're going to do harm with that truck full of explosives. It doesn't matter what the object is. If the person wants to do harm, they're going to.
Buying the guns.
Do you think if they did ban the AR-15, I mean,
I
no,
don't think it really stopped anything.
you think
You don't really think it'll stop anything. That can be no truer statement. It's not going to stop anything. It'll probably reduce homicides if we ban all rifles. It'll probably reduce homicides by like 1.5 to 3%, but that's it. You're still going to have homicides. What is it? I think the last FBI report I saw, it showed that more people are killed with hands and fists than they are with all rifles combined. So let that sink in.
they would just use a different weapon?
Yeah, for sure.
The Second Amendment, it doesn't define the description of what kind of weapons you can have and you cannot have. To me, we have to protect ourselves. That's what the Second Amendment was originally for, was to protect ourselves and our family.
That's not exactly true, but I like where he's going with that. The Second Amendment, to put it bluntly, it's when you look at the second portion, the second clause of the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's basically going towards the first part, where in order to keep a free state, the militia, a well-maintained militia, it gets a little convoluted because the Militia Act of 1903 basically stated that every able-bodied person is part of the militia. So you get these people who want to argue the militia portion of the Second Amendment, and it's a lazy man's argument because they don't understand the Second Amendment. In layman's terms, the Second Amendment states, in order to be free, everyone can have a firearm, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the Second Amendment in modern terms, period. And yeah, people try to bring up the whole militia thing. It doesn't apply. People say, well, the National Guard is now the militia. Well, they're the formal militia. But like I said, the Militia Act of 1903 said that every able-bodied person is part of the informal militia. So we're all part of the militia. It just, the only difference is whether you're part of the formal militia or the informal militia. And the Second Amendment doesn't define formal versus informal. It just says the militia, which means both. Let's continue.
I don't think we need crazy big guns like that, you know?
Crazy big guns. The AR-15 is not a crazy big gun. It has next to no recoil. Anybody can pick up an AR-15 and shoot it. I've seen little girls, probably 8 years old, shoot an AR-15 with no problem. It's not a big gun. Some of them have some weight to them, but they're not big. No, that's false.
I feel like I don't support banning all guns,
Right.
but
So
things
why?
that can
Why?
be-
I guess why. My question is why? Why do you not support banning all guns if you support banning, like, let's say AR-15s?
Because unfortunately, I feel like we're at a time where that's unrealistic because of how many people do support it. So I feel like I want to get one foot out the door first.
Right.
It's not unrealistic because of how many people do support the Second Amendment. It's unrealistic because of how many guns we have in this country. We have more guns in this country than we do people. So, how are you going to effectively ban any firearm for that matter, especially the most common firearm, which is the AR platform? You would have to literally have somebody go door to door and do illegal search and seizures to get all those firearms. It's not going to happen for a couple of reasons. One, fiscally, the monetary cost to do that, to hire people to do that, would be astronomical. Secondly, is you wouldn't even get enough people to do that in a reasonable amount of time. Thirdly, is there's a lot of people who would shoot before they let somebody come into their house to search. So we're looking at a body count. We're looking at a huge cost. We're looking at lack of manpower. Those three things alone make it not realistic. It cannot happen.
And then eventually, first started banning weapons that have caused destruction, like the AR-15 and mass shootings, stuff like that.
Most mass shootings are done with handguns. They're not done with rifles. This is a statistic that has been suppressed because, for whatever reason, gang violence is not counted as mass shootings. I don't understand why. I really think that is part of the plan to not put that information out there. But if you dig deep enough, you can find that information. Gang violence, those guys mostly use handguns, and I think almost every single mass shooting, not all of them, but most of them, had used handguns as well as rifles. So handguns are used in most mass shootings.
Do mass shootings don't happen with pistols?
That's what I'm saying, but like one foot in the door first.
You know, a lot of people make the argument of not wanting to allow the AR-15 to be banned because it's a stepping stone towards banning all weapons. It seems like that's the case that you're making right now.
Not the step towards banning all weapons.
But that's exactly what he said. It's to get your foot in the door to ban all weapons. If you can ban the AR-15, what's stopping them from banning anything else? That's food for thought.
But to,
More weapons.
I think regulation.
The fact that a bad guy is if you have a law, is not going to get a gun. I mean, like they actually respect the law. I mean,
That's kind of a lazy man's argument. I never use that argument where criminals are going to be criminals no matter what. You can ban whatever you want. Criminals are still going to do it. It's true, but it's kind of a lazy man's argument. I mean, we can look at drugs. We can look at God damn it. Banning alcohol. Oh, why can't I say that word? People still did it. Criminals are still going to do it. Drugs are banned. People still do it. Murder is illegal. People still commit murder. So yes, it's a very true statement, but it is kind of lazy because it doesn't really prove anything. It's not very specific.
I mean, really?
All right, guys, let's take a quick second to talk about today's sponsor.
We're not going to do that. Let's see here. Sorry, but I don't care about Ridge wallets because they suck.
Automatic platform, right? That means one fire is one bullet.
So he's saying a semi-automatic platform, one pull of the trigger, one bullet comes out. That's what an AR-15 is.
Yeah.
It's pretty much on par with pistols, shotguns, anything like that that's out today. What's the difference between that and pistols and whatnot, though, to you guys?
Pistols is for personal protection.
Rifles can be for personal protection as well. depending on where you're at. I've covered it in another video. You got to be very careful on the ammo that you use, because if you get over penetration, you can actually end up shooting somebody you don't intend to shoot, and that will make you guilty, or at least you'll go to court for manslaughter. It won't necessarily make you guilty of manslaughter. That all depends on the jury, but you will go to court for manslaughter if you kill somebody you don't intend to kill, or even just wound somebody you don't intend to wound. You're going to go to court for that. If you cause damage to somebody else's property because of overpenetration, you're going to go to court for that. You're going to be held financially responsible for that. I talked in another video about the $1 million shot. Every single round that you fire, you are responsible for both criminally and civilly and financially. So you got to be very, very careful on the type of ammo that you fire and what kind of platform you use.
Could you make the same argument for pistols or shotguns or any of that stuff?
Would you make the same argument for or against them?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
Would you guys advocate for banning other weapons as well, or no?
oh sure.
So yeah, like I said, that couple, they're actually, I don't know about the guy. He seems to have a little bit of doubt. I think he's going with the whole happy wife, happy life theory. Disagree with your wife because you don't want to start a fight in the home. But yeah, she is definitely anti-gun. She does not care.
Talking about just pistols and, you know, no, I'm not against the Second Amendment, having that whole speech. I don't have a problem with that, but you got to start somewhere.
Start somewhere with what? You know, she says she's not against the Second Amendment, but she wants to start somewhere. So she's against the Second Amendment. She's a hypocrite. She just lied. If you want to do anything with guns, you're against the Second Amendment. Fact of the matter is, guys, you can own a tank. You can own a fighter jet. You can own a bloody battleship if you can afford it. You can do those things. You can actually own an automatic rifle. You just have to pay a lot of money and you have to get special licensing for it, but you can own all those things. You can actually own a flippin' tank. So, I mean, it's start somewhere. Where do you plan to start? That would be my question for her. What's the starting point? What exactly are your plans? What's the end goal?
Majority of homicides using a firearm are obviously pistols.
Yeah.
Not that many homicides in the United States are actually even using rifles in general, not just AR-15s, but rifles in general. If we're trying to reduce the homicide rate, it's going to reduce it by about 2.5%.
What did I say earlier, guys? I said 1.5 to 3%. So I was a little low. He's saying 2.5% by 3%. Sources in the description. Like I said, I will link this video in the description so you can check it out. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I got some allergies going on. But yeah, so you can check out his sources if you want to.
If you were to just ban all rifles in general and all of those homicides disappeared. So it wouldn't make that big of an impact. Best case scenario, you're reducing the homicide rate by 2.5%.
Yeah.
Another thing about that, when they do the reporting, when they talk about gun violence, what the anti-gun side likes to quote, wow. What the anti-gun likes to quote is that, you know, guns cause so many deaths, but what they conveniently leave out is that roughly 50% of those deaths are suicides. They don't tell you that. And they don't tell you that because they're pushing that narrative that guns are bad, guns are horrible. Which, I mean, all suicides are horrible. But when it comes to making a case for banning guns of any kind, that's really not a very good stat to quote because it's blatantly false. It's misleading. It leaves out information. Let's continue.
That's a great point.
Why?
And I'm not too sure, but I know we do have a a gun violence issue.
We don't have a gun violence issue. We really don't. If you look at the stats, we truly do not have a gun violence issue. We have a violence issue, sure. But if you get rid of, let's see, Chicago, Atlanta, New York City, LA, and St. Louis, those 5 cities have the highest gun homicide rates in the United States. If you get rid of those 5 cities, we drop to like 165th out of like 200 in terms of gun violence rates. In other words, adjusted for population.
In general, we've tried other things that, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I feel like, yeah, I don't know, bro. I want to see something done.
I think the problem that
So that's a problem. That's a problem. You can see that he's kind of shifting his point of view. And this is where the gentleman in black, he can really take advantage of this. But he's not going to. I guarantee it. So Mr. Berkeley, like I said, he's changing his point of view. He's basically saying, yeah, you got a point, but something's got to be done. But he doesn't have an answer for what that something is. He has no answer for that. I've got a long, drawn-out answer where we address multiple issues because it's a society issue. It's not a gun issue. It's a society issue. And if you want proof of that, all you got to do is go back to 1950 through 1979. There was, 6 mass shootings in that 30-plus year time frame. And back then, everybody had guns. We took guns to school, for crying out loud. Back in the 70s, we had gun clubs at school where we shot at school. So it's not a gun problem, it's a society problem. Society has changed. It's caused people to get angry. We've got all these drugs out on the market from Big Pharma that's altering people's brains and whatnot. We've taken God out of everything. Criminals don't fear the justice system anymore. We don't have capital punishment in most states anymore. Our justice system is a laughing stock. It really is. It's a revolving door. Nobody's getting, well, not nobody, very few criminals are getting rehabilitated, right? They go to prison, they come out, they commit more crimes, they go right back to prison. We need to get tough on crime. I would say get rid of the whole minimum sentencing thing. Make it a straight shot for all 50 states. Every single crime has one punishment. One punishment, period. If you create a heinous, or if you do a heinous crime against somebody else, rape, murder, pedophilia, as far as I'm concerned, capital punishment, done. Period. You're on death row. And that needs to change as well. It needs to be like Texas. There needs to be an express lane. All right. If you're going to prison for life, you should not be sitting there for 30, 40, 50 years on the taxpayer's dime. You should be put down as soon as possible. If I had it my way, we'd take them out to the back of the courthouse and put them down right then and there. Unfortunately, we have this whole appeals thing, which is grossly misused. And these guys get to stay in prison on our dime for years, trying to say that, it's a mistrial and all this other good stuff. It's a mess, but let's continue.
And a lot of people are seeing with this is the argument for banning semi-auto rifles is because they're semi-auto rifles. That's literally seems to be the case, but it doesn't seem to make a difference when it comes to the totality of the violent crime crisis in our country. Now, granted, I'll be totally transparent with you. Obviously, homicides have reduced since like the 80s.
That's true. our crime rate, including homicides, have been trending downwards since the 1980s. Wow. Sorry, it's my sinuses are making it really hard for me to breathe right now. But since the 1980s, the crime rate, including homicides, have been trending downwards. It has spiked a couple of years. It has gone up, but overall, it keeps going down overall. So that's a very good point that he brought up is, you know, since the 80s, we've actually been doing a lot better. We've been getting better. So what's the deal?
But there is a recent spike, and it's out of control. And when it comes to the majority of those, they're inner city community violence.
And that's true. Like I said, Chicago, New York City, Atlanta, St. Louis, LA. It's all in the inner cities for the most part. And it's just massive gun violence. I mean, how many times have we seen record numbers of shootings in Chicago? It seems like every month they're breaking a new record in terms of how many people are shot there every weekend. It's insane. And Chicago has some of the toughest gun laws in the United States. Go figure. Now, some people will say, well, that's because guns are brought in from Indiana. Well, if that's the case, then why isn't Indiana receiving the same amount of gun crime as Illinois? If Indiana was the problem, if Iowa was the problem, if Missouri was the problem, if Wisconsin was the problem, if Kentucky was the problem, all those states border Illinois. If any of those states were the problem, why don't they see the same numbers of gun violence rates as Chicago, Illinois? Answer me that.
Overwhelming majority of the new homicides in this recent crime spike that are young black Americans. Yeah. It's obviously terrible, but they're not using ARs.
I don't really see why we can't, put more regulations in place. Maybe not necessarily.
More regulations. We have over 30,000 gun laws in the country as a whole. How many more regulations do you want? That's actually part of the problem. And a lot of people don't understand this, is we have over 30,000 gun laws. How can you consistently enforce that many laws? It's impossible. You cannot consistently enforce 30,000 laws, especially on one subject. It's impossible. We have a lot of laws that are ridiculous. For example, if you're filling out the form to get a silencer, you have to pay a $200 tax stamp, which is another ridiculous thing. But if you're filling out that form and you put in the wrong date by accident, guess what? You just broke the law. No, I'm not kidding. You just broke the law. You can go to prison for that. You can get fined for that as well. The $200 tax stamp, a lot of people don't even know where that came from. It's a completely arbitrary number. But you have to pay a $200 tax stamp for silencers, for certain firearms. It's, like I said, it's completely arbitrary. It's a made-up number, and it's based off of the Tommy gun. The Tommy gun cost $200 back in the day when it first came out. $200 was a lot of money. And they decided, okay, we're just going to make the tax stamp $200. And they never changed it. It's never changed. So it's based off of old laws that don't even apply anymore, but it has not changed. It's completely arbitrary law. It makes no sense. Why should you have to pay $200 tax stamp to get a silencer license? Per silencer, actually. It makes no sense to me.
Necessarily a ban, but regulated as if, with any other.
So we actually just did regulate firearms. It went through Biden, the Safer Communities Act, I believe is what it's called, where to buy firearms, you have to be 21 years or older. I've got a problem with that because at 18 years old, you can be sent to another country to die. and yet you have to be 21 to own a firearm. That doesn't make any sense. You can be 16 years old and drive a multi-ton vehicle doing 60, 70, 80 miles per hour down the freeway, but you can't own a firearm. You can decide what gender you are, but you can't own a firearm. You can vote, but you can't own a firearm. I hate that. It makes no sense. If we're going to raise the age to own a firearm to 21, we need to raise the age for all of those things to 21 as well. Just my opinion. Agree, disagree? Let me know in the comments.
Do you think that would eliminate the issue if they did, or at the very least reduce it, or do you think it would use different weapons?
I mean, it would reduce the likelihood of them using that weapon.
The part that you're saying to start,
It would reduce the likelihood of using that weapon. Yes, it would reduce the likelihood of them using that weapon, but there's a whole bunch of other weapons to use, so it won't really do anything.
is removing tens of millions of Americans' rifles that are law-abiding citizens because of that 2.5% that are using rifles just in general.
Yeah, and you're saying like that most of the gun violence isn't happening with those rifles.
I'm saying that they're not really related. Is what I'm saying.
The rifles and the gun violence.
Yeah, they're not so much related. I mean, certainly all gun violence, all, and you know, it's more just homicides using a firearm. When it comes to rifles, let's say AR-15s, there's more people in the United States that are dying at the hands and feet than AR-15s
And I said that earlier, and that's a true story.
every year.
Yeah.
Like way more. It's around double.
We attack with guns in general, not like a specific type of gun.
Should we attack
Right?
illegal guns first before attacking legal guns?
We should attack illegal anything first.
I think guns.
He brings up a good point. Attack illegal guns first. But the problem with that is this country, our legislators won't do that because they're making money off of the gun trade. You can go back to Obama, where they basically gave guns to cartels, and the cartels were turning around and selling them right back. Illegal guns. It's just ridiculous.
Should be banned, period.
So guns should only be in the hands of law enforcement. Is that correct?
Exactly my point.
Can that go wrong?
How is that gonna go
And
wrong?
also, how-
Oh yeah, cause
How is that going to go wrong? If guns are in the hands of law enforcement only, how is that going to go wrong? Well, we can go back to World War II. Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler. They all did the same thing. Only their police forces were allowed to carry guns, and what did those guys do? Mao did the same thing. Castro did the same thing. Mass genocide, guys. Mass genocide. When only one group of people in the country have firearms, you're looking at a complete political takeover. It's horrible, horrible idea.
the police are shooting black people here.
The police are shooting black people. The police shoot a lot of people, and it's not just black people. White people are shot more than black people statistically. Now, if you look at rates, yes, black people are shot more by police by population. But the caveat to that is black people tend to commit more crime than any other race. So it only makes sense that per population, black people are shot more because there's more engagement, more police engagement with the black population because they're committing more crimes per capita. So, yeah, they are shooting black people, but they're also shooting white people. And like I said, if you go strictly by the numbers and you don't take population into account, white people are shot more by cops than black people. And if you even want to go further, black people shoot more cops than cops shoot black people. That you can look up and you can take that to the bank.
There, and like Hispanics and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, they can have it, but they abuse it.
So she says only law enforcement should have guns, but they're going to shoot us with them. What? She just proved herself wrong. Did you guys catch that? She just proved herself wrong. We should only let law enforcement have guns so they could shoot us, is basically what she just said. That makes no sense.
Okay, so you're advocating that police are the only ones that have it, and then you're saying that police are misusing it? How does that make sense?
Yeah, because like,
Because they want to shoot all
I
the
mean,
black people.
So if they want to shoot all the black people, then why would you want to disarm yourself?
What?
The air-
So why would you want to disarm yourselves? Good point. If they're coming after you, why would you want to disarm yourself? Wouldn't you want to shoot back?
AR-15, should we ban it? Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are basically advocating for that?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Why do you say?
Yes, but he's just walking away. He has nothing. He doesn't even want to talk about it. He's just in this mind frame. He's another one of these diehard anti-gun people who don't understand what they're talking about, but they're holding true to their convictions, which I respect to a degree, but he has no clue what he's talking about, and that's what makes him an idiot.
Say so.
Because look what he's doing. It's crazy. Who's hunting with those things?
I mean, people are hunting with AR-15s. They definitely are.
And that's true, they are. The AR-15 is one of the most popular hunting rifles for small game. It's a great varmint rifle. Gopher, squirrel, raccoon, prairie dog. You can even take down smaller deer with an AR-15. Hog hunting, by the way. The AR platform is great for hog hunting, which, if you live in Texas, you know that's a big problem. Javelinas are everywhere. They're basically an invasive species. They destroy crops, and basically you can hunt them indiscriminately in Texas. You don't even need a license, as far as I know. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure you don't need a license to hunt javelina in Texas.
They shouldn't be hunting with AR-15s? It's actually one of the smaller modern rifles today.
Just use a rifle, shoot an animal, and
Just use a rifle. Well, an AR-15 is a rifle, dumbass.
give it a fair shot.
Was the Second Amendment designed for hunting?
It was set for protection and, using hunting rifles. Those aren't hunting rifles. Sorry.
What? So he basically just proved himself wrong. He said the Second Amendment was for protection, and the AR-15 is not a hunting rifle, so therefore the AR-15 is for protection. He just proved himself wrong.
It was set for protection with hunting rifles?
No.
Should we ban the AR-15 or no? What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
You think yes? What do you think?
yes.
I disagree with it.
In my opinion, no.
I don't know. I'm not really a big pro-gun person,
Okay.
so I feel like it's
It's good.
yeah.
I'm not a big pro-gun person, so yeah, why not? Educate yourself, ladies. Maybe go to your local gun range and fire one. You might find that it's a lot of fun. It's very enjoyable. For me personally, the whole idea of holding an explosion in your hand is just fucking amazing. It is so cool. That's just me. I geek out on that kind of technology, the ability to do that. But these two ladies, they don't know why they're anti-gun. So that's a problem. They should at least be able to reason out why they don't agree with people having guns, why they think the AR-15 should be banned. They should have a solid argument for that, instead of just saying, I don't know.
Who should have the guns?
The government.
The government?
Yeah.
They can be
Oh, the government should have the guns. Yeah, we already talked about that. We know what happens when only the government has guns.
trusted?
No, not really.
There we go again. Only the government should have guns, but they really can't be trusted. Not only that, but the government couldn't pass a standard background check. I'm just putting that out there. With all the felonies and crimes that the government does, that the government sanctions, they could never, ever pass a federal background check under NICS. The military, for example, we were paid, we were commissioned by the United States government to commit felonies. If you think about it, that's what the military is. We are commissioned by the United States government to commit felonies.
But
Why do you think we shouldn't?
We shouldn't, because it's the Second Amendment, and it's not It's not any different from any other type of rifle that's used.
AR-15, a semi-automatic rifle, you're not really getting into high-powered firearms. So no, I would disagree.
That's good reasoning. The AR-15 is not a high-powered firearm. The AR-10, however, is high-powered. But I like this guy's reasoning. It's not a high-powered rifle, so no, it shouldn't be banned.
That's infringing on the people's rights.
I'm not liberal. I'm not from California. I'm from Georgia, so we all carry guns and have a gun permit.
Yeah.
I understand with the shootings and everything how sad it is.
Really? You don't have guns in Georgia? Then why is Atlanta one of the top 5 gun violence cities in the United States? Huh.
But that's because it's a mental health problem that hasn't been taken care of.
Mental health problem, yes and no. Some of it is mental health. A lot of it actually is mental health. I mean, you got to be some kind of psycho to want to take somebody's life, no matter what weapon you use. You got to be completely bonkers, in my opinion. So yeah, okay. It is a mental health issue, but I think it's more of a society issue. If we fix the societal issues, then the mental health will get better. Like I said, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments.
The Second Amendment's in place to preserve those rights for the the longevity of the nation. It's to resist tyrannical rule. Do you think that that is an outdated right
I don't
then?
think that that's outdated, but I think that I don't think it's okay to have the ability to say I have a right to do something without personal responsibility.
I like that. I like that a lot. But like this guy pointed out, 2 to 3% of the population are not responsible, which means upwards to 98% of the population who do own guns are responsible. So why are we trying to hinder that 98%? Why are we trying to take the rights away from that 98% who are responsible?
And with personal responsibility, it's just there should be some kind of education for it. I think that people.
I like that too. Education is something I've talked about on Twitter, which I don't have access to anymore because Twitter does not like me. They actually banned me, permanent ban because of my views. I won't go into that into this video, but yeah, education. I fully agree with a basic gun safety course, and even to some degree a basic marksmanship course. But the caveat to that is if we're going to make those mandatory, they need to be free of cost. If they're going to be mandatory. If they're going to be voluntary like they are now, then sure, you can charge for them. I teach basic gun safety for free. Anybody who wants to learn basic gun safety, I will go to their house. They can come to my place. We can meet at a range, wherever they feel comfortable. They can bring their own firearm. I can bring mine. It doesn't matter. And I teach basic gun safety because I think anybody who owns a firearm should at least know the basics of safety. And I don't charge for basic gun safety. I don't think it's reasonable to charge for that. Some people out there do it. They're entrepreneurs. Hey, they're making money. Good for them. I'm not slamming them. I don't agree with them, but hey, they're out there making that money, man. Capitalism. Now, basic marksmanship, I do think you should charge for that because you're taking a lot of time out of your day to teach somebody how to shoot accurately. And for that, I do charge, and the prices vary depending on group, individual, how long we're out there, all that good stuff. But yeah, I totally agree with her. Education, when you get a firearm, is something that should definitely, in my opinion, should be mandatory, but it should be free.
People should understand what they're doing.
Okay.
I think that there should be some measures in place for that.
So you don't. It sounds like we've shifted a little bit away from saying yes to banning the weapon.
Oh, that ban.
It seems as though.
Absolutely.
Oh, it should be banned.
I think.
You're talking about education around it, so you just believe in banning it. So no education around it.
I think both, right?
Well, if you're banning them, then why do you need the education? That doesn't make sense. She was going down a really good path there, but now she's circling back to kind of being stupid. If they're banned, then you don't need the education because you're not using them.
We don't have mental health institutions like we used to have.
That's true, we don't. That's something I'd like to see come back, is to have mental health institutions, insane asylums, whatever you want to call them. But I think they need to be highly regulated. We got rid of them because they were causing more harm than good to the patients. A lot of malpractice was going on. Experiments and stuff like that were happening. Mistreatment of the patients. And that was horrible. So nowadays, though, I think we can bring them back, regulate them, watch over them, and actually get these people the help they deserve. I think that's a good idea.
And I think it's a family problem because they don't pick up on the signs.
It is a family problem. That's part of the societal issues. One side of the political party has decided that the nuclear family should go away. They actually have incentivized not getting married. They will pay you in some states, in some cities, they will pay the mother not to get married through different programs. And so, I mean, it's a financial incentive, and it's destroying the family values that we had back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even part of the 80s.
And do something about their own children or family members. But I think a lot of people are afraid to step up and say, hey, there's something wrong with this person or my family member. Or
Well, yeah, because this is a woke country. If you say, hey, this person is mentally disturbed, then the woke community is going to come at you and say, well, why are you discriminating? Why are you hating on them? Why are you being misogynistic, or whatever the case may be? You're just a big fat jerk because they're different. It's okay to be a psycho. And no, if you need help, you need to get help. And I'm telling you guys that now. If you have mental issues, if you're contemplating doing harm to yourself or others, please, by all means, go talk to a professional. You need to. You absolutely need to. I'm not saying take whatever drugs they want to prescribe you, but get it out of your system. Go talk to somebody. Even if it's just your best friend. It doesn't even have to be a professional. Even if it's just your best friend, talk to them. Let them know what's going on. Let them see if they can help you. If just talking to them will help you, get the help you need, guys. Especially for my veterans out there, for my military family. Get some help, guys. Reach out. There's plenty of places out there for you to reach out to. You can always contact me here on YouTube if you just want to talk. I'm here. I'm available. I'm willing to do that. So I agree with her.
child, or you just have to be brave enough to report it and get help for those people.
Okay, so why do you want to ban it then?
Okay, so what do they need it?
Self-protection.
No, you don't need a rifle to protect yourself. You could have a pistol in your house. It's not gonna.
Like I said, it's not about what you need. It's about what you can get. Some people can't afford a $400 rifle, so they go and get themselves a pistol, which is fine. You can get yourself, a $200 handgun. You can get yourself a $300 handgun, whatever, and you can defend your home just fine with that. But if you can get a rifle, why wouldn't you? Again, be very careful with the type of ammo that you use for over-penetration and whatnot, but it's not about needs. The Second Amendment has never been about the needs of the individual. It's all about protecting yourself, your city, your state, and your country from a tyrannical government, including our own government, should it come to that.
Have as many rounds of ammunition.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that is different than an assault rifle.
Right. An assault rifle to you is like a AR, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what AR means, assault rifle.
No, it doesn't. So there we have it. I talked about this earlier in the video, and this video is getting really long, but AR does not mean assault rifle. I'm sorry, sweetheart, that's not what it means. It stands for Armalite Rifle. That's what it stands for. Look it up. Do yourself a favor so you don't look like an idiot on the internet. Do some education. Get yourself some education on the subject if you're going to talk about it.
That's not what it means. Armor light.
Oh, okay, I don't know what that means then.
As far as protecting the home, you don't need an AR-15 for that. I own a couple of 9mm, and I think that suffices for what you need.
And it does, but as shown in a previous video, 9mm, even hollow points, will go in and out. They will go through the body and cause supplementary damage to someone or something.
The point of the Second Amendment is not just for protecting your home, it's for protecting against the possibility of a tyrannical government. Do you think that that is outdated, or do you think that's still a possibility?
No, it's still valid. Yeah, it's still valid. I think that the right to bear arms and to provide a well-regulated militia for the...
Well-regulated. Let's talk about that term. A lot of people think that well-regulated means well-suppressed, or what regulated means today. Well-regulated back in the 1700s when the Second Amendment was made meant in good working condition. That's what well-regulated meant. It meant that your tools worked properly and that you were able to answer the call of duty on a dime. That's what well-regulated meant. That's what it means in the Second Amendment.
The United States should never be infringed.
I think that the fact that you can have something that fires multiple rounds per minute versus protecting yourself.
But you're
multiple rounds per minute. So I have a bolt action 22 rifle. I can shoot, let's see, the last time I timed myself on that, I can pull off 10 well-aimed shots with that bolt action, manually loading the rounds into the chamber. I can get 10 shots off in a minute, no problem. So should my 22 be banned? According to her, it should.
Average pistol can do that. So I'm trying to figure out what's the differentiator here.
So do you think that people should have unlimited access to rifles? Do you think that's a good idea?
No, I don't think unlimited access. I think you need to pass background check, not be a criminal, not be a felon, violent felon. We should keep these. We should keep these guns out of mandatory like education, like training.
Yeah.
If the government maybe pays for something like that, that could be a conversation I think to have.
So I believe in.
But training is very expensive.
Right.
Like
but
you're gonna spend a lot of money doing it.
Have joined the military.
Right.
So they know how and when to use it and when it's appropriate. Do I think 18 is the right age? No. Do I think it should be raised? Probably. I mean,
But we're just talking about banning the gun out altogether, so it doesn't. The age conversation is kind of irrelevant for your argument.
This isn't just in defense of your home. This is in defense of yourself, your liberties, and your pursuit of happiness. Right? Our God-given rights within our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, guarantees me these liberties. They were bought for with a price and are still continued this day.
Yeah.
That's very true. The freedoms that we enjoy today are paid for in blood. It's been prepaid, and it's continuing to be paid by guys that I served with, people who have died for this country, for the cops out there who die in the line of duty. Our freedoms are protected by those groups of people, and those people die every single day to ensure that we have the freedoms we enjoy today. We cannot have the First Amendment if we don't have the Second to protect it. We can't have the Third, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth. We can't have any of our rights without the Second Amendment to protect them.
From Idaho, man. We carry.
I can see that you might be a fan of the Constitution.
Yeah, I think us as Americans.
I love his shirt. It's a shirt promoting the Constitution. You can see it, We the People. I love it.
Have a right to carry and protect our homes and our families.
All right, everyone, that is it for today. Did you guys like any of the arguments that people made or no? Let me know down in the comment section below. You guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Make sure.
All right, guys, so we're going to cut it off here. Again, I'm going to put a link to the original video in the description below. Please click on that link. Show this young man your support. Go comment on his video as well. Let him know I sent you. If you like the video, hit that like button. If I've earned it, hit that subscribe button. And as always, be safe, be cool, and have fun. We'll catch you in the next one.